the question is, how do you now get them, after they get the theology, after they get the message, to now go home and apply that learning to their everyday life and activity, whether it be in the church or whether it be in some other community-oriented space?
You know, I don't think that people actually have access to conversations like this. When I say access, I'm not saying could they come, are they barred from this? I'm saying they're not coming to these conversations. The majority of our congregants, laypersons, are not experiencing these types of transformative, incisive conversations. And so it's incumbent upon us to figure out, well, how do we take it to them? Right? Because we're asking, I mean, we want people to be in the fight that they haven't been educated about. And it may be a willful ignorance, and I think that is true too. But if it is a priority of the church, then the question becomes, well, what is the most optimal time to smuggle the spinach and the ice cream, right? You know, what does it mean to convert a Sunday morning into this?
Yes.
Where people are captivated.
Yes.
Or captive, you know, because most people aren't just going to get up and walk out just because they're not appreciating it. But what will it mean to do this on a Sunday morning versus a Saturday morning, where you know people are accessible, people are there, and there are ways to kind of jazz it up in digestible bites for folks. So I think it's this larger question around, well, how are we actually educating people on these issues that we care about? And are we taking the opportunities, the moments that matter to them and reshaping them to be those formative experiences, right? And you know, now, obviously we can't control how people respond to what they learn, but I do think that the more that we are setting this in front of the audience, the more that we are putting this at the front of the room, the greater capacity we have for inviting people into this work. Because, I mean, the problem isn't this session itself, right? Because I think some pragmatic things have been offered today. Obviously, some theoretical critiques have been offered today. So there are people who will leave here knowing a little more, possibly. There will be people who leave here understanding what the how-to is for a certain thing. So I don't think it's it is the pedagogy itself. It's not the teaching itself that needs to adjust. It is how do we widen that audience. And you know, one of the chief ways we can do that is taking it to the people where when and where we know they will be.